Wright.
Speaker, my question is to the Minister for Education. How many schools who received Building Better Schools grants under the previous Labor government have been told to return some of these funds to the Education Department?
Minister for Education.
Look, I thank the member for the question. The Labor Party never gave money to any of the schools. The Labor Party identified commitments for infrastructure, and those commitments are now continuing under the Liberal Party, enhanced, of course, by a series of decisions that have been proceeded with through the course of the last 2.5 years since we came to government. Hundreds of millions of dollars further added to the bucket for investment in infrastructure in our schools across South Australia. That program is continuing. Now, indeed, I think from the first announcement in 2017, I think it was, when the member for Port Adelaide was the minister on the first batch of those projects, my recollection, if I stand to be corrected, but I think Lefevre High School will indeed be the first one of the schools that will have their project completed. I don't think it's too far away. I'm told that it should be definitely completed either by or during the first term next year. So, obviously, there will be reconciliations at the end of those projects. I'm told that the vast majority of the schools, indeed, those that are due to be completed before Term 1 2022 will indeed be completed through the course of next year. I identified during estimates there are 6 schools where that completion date is in December next year. So the risk that we are concerned about there is that the whole project, including landscaping, including all the legal work and everything else there, might not potentially be completed by January 2022. In those cases, my advice is that all of the work that needs to be done to ensure that the school can have a terrific start to the year will be done. Indeed, all the classrooms, all the flexible learning areas, all the specialist learning areas will well and truly be completed in that time. But there may be examples of school where we are hard up against it. We are on track to finish all the landscaping and all that other work by the end of next year, but that's where there is indeed some risk to there being some further issues there. But we'll make sure that the schools are ready to go, and we're optimistic indeed that all of that extra work will be done too. Those funding commitments remain projects that are working towards. A good many of them are indeed underway now. I think more than $1 billion worth of those projects are now underway. More than 60 schools construction is happening, and the final scoping work is happening in the remaining 30 or so.
Member for Wright.
Speaker, my question is again to the Minister for Education. Is it not true that Banksia Park International High School has been asked to return more than $1 million of the $9 million that was given to it under Building Better Schools by the South Australian taxpayer via the previous Labor government?
The Minister for Education.
Sir, I don't accept the characterisations in the member's statement. The member has identified money being given to a school. There is a commitment of a budget to an infrastructure project. Now, if at Banksia Park, as the member suggests, that project has come in under budget, then that's good news actually for the taxpayer. What I can guarantee the member is that any funds in this program will be staying in this program for public schools, for the benefit of public schools, and indeed, where possible, if there is indeed a saving to the budget of any individual school, then we will make sure that the scope of the project is delivered in full. When the Education Department is working with schools to identify the scope of their project, meeting any budget, the absolute endeavour of the Education Department, as we indeed outlined in estimates last week, is to ensure that that scope is appropriately costed. Now, there are some schools where there has been a slight overrun. There are some schools where there may well be a project completed ahead of schedule or a project completed under budget. There may even be opportunities in some of those cases for the school to have things that were sought in the initial scope but had to be value managed that can be restored to the scope. Now, that project at Banksia Park, I visited that project at Banksia Park a few weeks ago. The school, I've got to say, the staff I spoke to, the students I spoke to, were pretty excited about it. They've got a fantastic new facility. It's going to have a performing arts centre, indeed. It's going to have a commercial kitchen that will be available for the use in the performing arts and, indeed, in the work that the school does through its other programs and its VET programs. It's a school where the government has, over and above the identification of the grant that the member for Rights just raised, invested further funds in because it's one of our 5 new entrepreneurial high schools in South Australia. That's a body of work which is infrastructure and indeed recurrent funding that is well and truly over and above the investment that was offered by the former government, an investment that the former government said was a bad idea, a silly idea. But I can tell you what, at Banksia Park, they're really excited about their new entrepreneurial spaces, which are only going to be enhanced by the extra build that is happening at the moment. They're also at Banksia Park excited about the extra staff they're getting, which is even more important than the built infrastructure, the cost of which, I promise you, over the next couple of years will well and truly outstrip any budget saving that was there because their project came in. Well, the member describes it as a budget cut. Well, that's just a complete false characterisation. But when the member says that the project might have come in $1 million under budget, if that is indeed the case, then I promise you Banksia Park's going to do a lot better than that out of the entrepreneurial program alone. But the member has made a claim. I put to the member that if he spends some time at Banksia Park, talks to the staff, talks to the students, talks to the families on the governing council, the things that they have been very excited about over the last couple of years, to the tremendous credit of that school. Banksia Park has a new leadership position leading their entrepreneurial program. Banksia Park has new programs in the entrepreneurial space, which this government has invested in, which are going to see businesses and industries connected with that school and able to see the students who are in this program, who are already in this program, already appreciating this opportunity, not only given extra skills in terms of if they want to start a small business one day, but having that entrepreneurial mindset where they can be in a large organisation or a small one, a business or a social enterprise, and able to really drive an entrepreneurial mindset through that program. This has required investment, and it's an investment which over the course of the term of this government and beyond will be well and truly above anything that Labor ever offered.
The member for